Robert, over here.
The device is fully charged. It is now 0 minus 60 seconds. 59, 58, 57, 56, 55, 54, 53, 52, 51, 50, 49.
Where the hell is that music coming from?
I'm sorry, sir. It's a ground channel. You can't seem to get rid of it.
45, 44, 43, 42, 41, 40,
Got the
49,
music.
48, 47, 46, 55, 34, 33, 32, 31, 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Japan remains committed to holding a safe Games despite a surge of COVID-19 cases in the country. Joining us live now is the Wall Street Journal's Japan editor, Alistair Gale. Alistair, is there still a chance the Olympics could fall over and get cancelled at the last minute?
Yes, there's a chance. We've got 3 months to go. A lot can happen in those 3 months. What we had this week was one of the senior figures in the ruling party here saying for the first time that cancellation is an option. So that's something that was pushed back on very hard by the organisers, saying, no, we're focused on making sure the Games go ahead. We've had IOC figures, John Coates from Australia, saying the Olympics will happen. But as you mentioned, we are going into a new wave of virus cases here. Tokyo is one place that has been hit pretty badly. And what we're seeing is it's the variants from around the world that are causing this latest rise in cases. And of course, the idea of having tens of thousands of people, athletes and officials and media and other people coming from around the world into Japan for the Olympics in 3 months' time, just as we're seeing a rise in virus cases now, is not something that's particularly appealing for many people here. So there's still strong opposition against the Olympics going ahead as planned, but you know, as I say, still 3 months to go, a lot can happen.
So just on the outbreaks that you were talking about there, that recent surge, I've seen reports saying that a state of emergency could be declared shortly. How is Japan coping with that? How's the health system coping?
Well, in some parts of Japan, the health system is not coping very well at all. In Osaka, which is the main city in the west of Japan, has had the largest number of new cases, and their hospital system is really struggling. The governor in Osaka has already asked the government to declare a state of emergency there. Here in Tokyo, the governor is considering the same thing, may ask the government this week to declare a state of emergency in Tokyo. What that means is that businesses will be asked to close early, you know, restaurants will be asked to close early, and people will be strongly encouraged to stay home. But of course, a state of emergency doesn't really sound like the sort of situation where you want to be considering having Olympics taking place. So it's making the organisers very nervous. They're doing what they can to say that, you know, precautions will be in place. Whatever happens for the Olympics, they are encouraging athletes to come in late and leave early. Of course, there won't be any foreign spectators here. The media has been asked to kind of stay in the media areas and not, travel into the city. So there's various things that the organisers are doing to kind of reassure the public and say, look, if this goes ahead, even with all these people coming from around the world, we're doing everything we possibly can to make sure this is safe and secure. But that's a tough sell at the moment with the situation, going in the wrong direction as far as the organisers are concerned.
How important a part is the vaccination rollout, not just among the athletes and the media that will be flying in for the Games, but more broadly, how is the rollout progressing there in Japan?
Well, the short answer to that is it's not progressing well at all. We've just started the general rollout to the public amongst the elderly, and the medical workers have been vaccinated, but we're not expecting the majority of the population to be vaccinated until after the Olympics. So you have a situation where, most Japanese are going to feel vulnerable in a situation where you have a major international sporting event here. The IOC has said they want the athletes to be vaccinated. That is something that some countries are working on and getting their Olympians, vaccinated. But here in Japan, there's a question whether the Japanese athletes are going to be vaccinated or not. There have been some reports that the athletes would be moved to the front of the queue for vaccinations. Those have been denied so far by the government. But of course, if you have a situation where some athletes are vaccinated and others aren't, then, you are basically saying, well, there may be some spread amongst the athletes. So even if some are vaccinated, it's not, we're not doing the best job we can. So the vaccination is a difficult issue for the organisers to deal with. And it's something that they say, look, regardless of whether there's widespread vaccination or not, the measures that we'll have in place, social distancing, regular testing of people involved in the Olympics, will be sufficient to avoid a so-called super spreader event, where this becomes, a disaster, basically, and the virus spreads quite widely amongst people involved. That's something that I think it's fair to say the public is somewhat sceptical about.
Yeah, and you can understand that position. As you say, though, plenty can happen in 3 months' time. Alistair Gale, appreciate you joining us with the update.
The Olympics was awarded to Tokyo 7.5 years ago because it was considered a safe choice. To say it's been a white-knuckle ride since is an understatement. Sexism in the organising committee, a bribery scandal, and now, 100 days out, a pandemic still dictating the course of events. Trying to ignore this undercurrent of controversy are the athletes, including this world champion and leading gold medal hope.
I'm not actually that engaged with the news generally, and I think that it allows me just to stay focused on my training. And yeah, I know I wouldn't do anything differently. I'd still turn up to train and I'd still try and be the best athlete I could be, and whether or not the Games does or doesn't happen wouldn't change that.
The athletes clearly want this Games to happen. The IOC want them to go ahead because there's billions of pounds riding on it. The Japanese government want them to happen because there's a certain amount of national pride attached to them being a success. But the overwhelming majority of the Japanese public don't want to see this Olympics happen. Japan only began vaccinating this week, and even without international fans, the Olympics will bring tens of thousands to the most crowded metropolitan area on Earth this summer. Some experts can't believe it's actually happening.
Japan is in the middle of so-called fourth wave of COVID-19. So we do have a surge of increase in patients with COVID. I'm very pessimistic in holding Olympic Games safely, particularly when people talk about inviting all the audiences domestically. That would be extremely dangerous to have.
Polls suggest between 70 and 80% of Japanese people don't want the Olympics to happen. But defying that mounting resistance, the Olympic mascots were unveiled to mark 100 days to go. The head of the British Olympic Association says it's not a matter of if it goes ahead, but how.
They're taking the measures that are necessary now in order to enable the Olympics to go ahead safely in July. So I think the decision not to welcome overseas spectators, which would have been very difficult for them because, you know, the economic boost you get from tourism is one of the key arguments for having an Olympics. I think that is a reflection of the nervousness in the host country, quite understandably.
For many athletes, this could be their only opportunity to go to an Olympics. Many still don't know how they'll qualify or prepare to compete. In a whirl of unknowns, there is one certainty, that this will be a Games like no other. Martha Kellner, Sky News.
It was an epidemic unlike any other. Within days, millions were infected. Within weeks, they were forced together.
Containment is our absolute priority. Blockade all bridges, streets, and rail links.
And then left to die. But 25 years after the outbreak,
It's the virus. It's back.
containment has failed.
What the hell are we going to do? What we're about to show you is highly confidential.
Survivors?
Inside the hot zone. And if there are survivors, there must be a cure.
You're going out there. If there's such a thing as hell on Earth, that's it.
I know what we're looking for. If it's there, I'll find it. Take us in.
Now,
Once you're over that wall, there's no system, no rules, no backup.
to find a cure,
We're against the clock on this one.
they must return to the world they left behind.
How the hell are we supposed to find anything in this mess?
I'll know when I see it.
This is our city! We're gonna catch them, hook them, and eat them!
From Rogue Pictures,
How dare they send you here? They started this fire. They can burn in it.
and the director of The Descent,
Sure it's dangerous. She is.
this spring,
We're losing our city.
It's pretty grim, and it's gonna get a whole lot worse.
a new dark age
Have you found the cure?
Abandon any such hope.
No.
will dawn.
Nice colour. I'll take it. Hold on.
Too close.
You think?
Rough ride.
Rough enough.